Okay, forgive me for the informal setup here, but yesterday, this slipped under my radar big time, and I only saw it today, which is why I wanted to go out there and make this video. Let's talk about yesterday's LA Kings and Carolina Hurricanes game. Now, as you can see, the score is right here, 5-2, LA ended up winning. They're finally getting back in the dub column. They have been slipping and sliding down the NHL and Pacific Division standings the past few weeks, so seeing them get back in the dub column is good for them. Not good for me, I'm a Canucks fan, but still, you get what I mean. And one of the big stories from yesterday's Kings and Hurricanes game was Trevor Moore. This guy has been on fire this season. He got the opening goal to get things off 1-0 for LA, and he also scored himself the empty net goal to seal the deal and give the Kings the 5-2 win. Now, Moore has been in a pretty good spot this year, and I think a lot of people didn't really expect him to be as good as he is right now. 31 points, 40 games played, on pace for 64 points and 40 goals. What a season for the ages for Mr. Moore, who is from Thousand Oaks, California. Now, this is where we get into our funny little Twitter discussion, because yesterday, as we had said, Moore scored the goals, Moore was getting everybody hyped, everybody loves to see this, and we had ourselves a Twitter thread where the LA Kings go out there and call out some fellow NHL teams because of it. Take a look at this. We had ourselves Alexandra, who tweeted out, "Thousand Oaks native, why is this man not an all-star?" And yes, of course, Thousand Oaks native talking about Trevor Moore, the guy we just talked about. And the LA Kings themselves ended up replying, "Hey, Trevor Moore is not an all-star because we're not a Canadian team." And then you can see the replies here, 224 replies, 323 retweets on quote tweets, and you have 643 likes. The LA Kings go out there and reply, "Uh-oh, it looks like the Leafs fans ended up finding this tweet." And then the response, "Yeah, we're in this together, friend." The replies here are funny as all heck, and I wanted to go out there and read some of y'all this material. But before we go out there and actually divulge into that, we'll go over the rosters and everything just to make sure we know what we're talking about. Yeah, so the LA Kings are not a Canadian team. I guess they're going out there and saying that because Canadian teams are Canadian teams, they get a lot more fans and a lot more voters, as is the case if you scroll through the all-star list. Calgary Flames, they only have one representative, that's Elias Lindholm. Scrolling down, the Oilers, they have two, McDavid and Draisaitl. The LA Kings themselves only have one representative, it is Cam Talbot, he is the goaltender heading over. The Canadiens only have one representative, Nick Suzuki. The Ottawa Senators only have one, that is Brady Tkachuk. And then you have the Winnipeg Jets at the bottom of the graphic, they have one too. But then it is the Toronto and Vancouver show. As we had talked about in a video a few days ago, Marner, Matthews, Nylander, Rielly, all going for the Maple Leafs. And for Vancouver, you've got Boeser, Demko, Hughes, Miller, and Pettersson. 5 players from Vancouver and 4 from the Leafs. There are so many gosh darn Canadian players coming over here, but the LA Kings decided to take that to heart and say, yeah, no, Trevor Moore's not going over to the All-Star game because we are not a Canadian team. Uh-oh, it looks like Leafs fans found the tweet. Let's go out there and read some of the replies, shall we? "Get more fans," Major Moose goes out there and says, "If you were a Canadian team, there would be so many headlines about the disaster that is the Dubois trade. It sounds like you have passionless fans. It's because your social media game isn't up to snuff. Get your fans to vote more." That is crazy right there. We also had ourselves the extra reply from the Kings themselves. Uh-oh, looks like Leafs fans found the tweet. Yeah, Leafs fans found this tweet, I guess. And all the replies that are being screenshotted, look at that. They're all Oilers and Canucks fans in the replies over here. Another reply says, yeah, just say hockey fans found this tweet. There's no need for the attention-seeking mention of the Leafs fans. Here's the attention that you ordered. Please sign here. As a Leafs fan, you're not wrong, but to leave an all-star vote to the fans skews heavily in favor of the teams with the most fans. Canadian markets. Don't blame us, blame the system. We also had more people going out there and roasting the LA Kings too. Here's a tweet from Zach that went popular as well. "You're the 6th most popular team in your city." And yeah, I don't want to disagree necessarily. If you go over to what exactly it is there. You want to talk about the Rams, the Dodgers, the Lakers, the Clippers. There's one more, and then there's the Kings. What's the last one, eh? Oh, the Angels, that's right, there are 2 baseball teams. So, 6th most popular team in the city, and that's being generous. USC and UCLA are huge too. And I never considered college sports. So, yeah, I mean, look, this is one of the things that I think most people always know is there, but we don't talk about it too much. The fact is, in Vancouver in particular, no disrespect, of course, to the diehard fans that are there for the Whitecaps and the BC Lions and the Vancouver Canadiens and the baseball and everything. These are great markets for sports teams, but when it comes to mainstay, top of the league kind of material, the Vancouver Canucks are really all there is over here. Like, the fan base for Vancouver in the Canucks side of things overshadows a lot of the Lions and the Whitecaps' popularity by quite a significant margin. And sure, I do have friends that are fans of those other teams for football and soccer, but I have more Canucks fan friends. And I'm pretty sure it's the same thing for most of y'all who live here. Even if you're not a hockey fan or a sports fan in particular, if you live in Vancouver, you like the Canucks. That's the thing. When they went to the finals in 2011, the whole city literally burned down. And that's kind of the market here, baby. We don't have extra things to focus on to the same level of the Vancouver Canucks. And in Toronto, sure, they have their own teams. They got the Blue Jays, the Raptors, etc. But the Leafs, 100 years of history for the Toronto Maple Leafs in that area. So you could understand that there is a big, passionate fan base that is grown in these markets. For the LA Kings, I'm sorry, but you guys, I mean, the Kings were around for a long time, that's true, but they didn't really boom off to being as popular as they could have been until Gretzky came along in the 80s, 90s era. It was a while, and then taking a look at things nowadays, I mean, if you wanted to say 6th most popular team, if you wanted to say 7th or 8th based off of the college sports as well, yeah, the LA Kings not getting too involved in the social media game comparative to Canucks and Leafs fans on Twitter, retweeting and voting for guys to go to the All-Star game. I mean, look, this is a shot being thrown, of course. It's shade, I get it, but it's all in good fun. But it's not necessarily correct, I think. So if you go over to it, I mean, Trevor Moore has had a great season, 31 points, 40 games played. But is he really better than any of the other guys we have seen here? Toronto, Marner, Matthews, Nylander, Rielly, Boeser, Hughes, Pettersson, Miller, like, is Trevor Moore more of an all-star deserving than these guys? I would probably say no, even though he has been good. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below of the LA Kings calling out and throwing shade at Canucks and Leafs fans. Do you think this is funny? What are your thoughts on the entire argument? And are they really the 6th most popular team in their city? Like, you got the perspective of a guy who's grown up here in Vancouver, like everybody's a Canucks fan. Even if you're not a hockey fan, you're a Canucks fan, everybody here likes them. You can't really say the same thing about the Whitecaps and the Lions. I mean, sure, people will default to saying, yeah, I like the Whitecaps, sure. But I feel like the general public doesn't really have that same attachment to the Whitecaps than they do to the Canucks. That's just my perspective here, growing up in Vancouver. Is it the same in LA? How many teams are out there that actually dominate this conversation of sports team love? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99 and bye.